Hey everyone, welcome back to Those Fake Nerds. I'm your host, Brian. A bit of a follow-up from yesterday's video where Microsoft announced that Doom the Dark Ages had 3 million players and it was like the biggest launch in the history of ID and it was very positive. Well, things have kind of changed a little bit. I don't think in a negative way, but in kind of a way that recontextualizes what that 3 million players means in a big way. So let's head over to that. All right, so this is from 80.level, and Theodore Mackenzie, the head of content there, wrote the article, which says Doom the Dark Ages has reportedly sold less than 1 million copies. Out of the 3 million players Bethesda bragged about last week, 2.2 million are said to be playing through the Xbox Game Pass. Ever since AAA gaming studios started promoting their games by boasting about the number of players instead of how many copies they sold, many in the gaming community began to view such announcements as major red flags, meant to mislead potential players into thinking the game is successful when in fact it's severely underperforming behind the scenes. With that in mind, it's no surprise that when Bethesda, quote, pulled in Assassin's Creed Shadows and revealed that Doom the Dark Ages hit 3 million players, many eyebrows were raised about the game's actual performance, according to analysts. The negative reaction to the reveals are justified, with the latest Doom performing much worse than its publisher makes it out to be. According to Alinea Analytics, by the time the announcement was made, Dark Ages had actually sold less than a million copies, 800,000 to be exact. And while that's a commendable number, it's not that impressive considering that this is Doom we're talking about, a AAA game backed by three industry giants, an installment in arguably the most iconic first person shooter series of all time. Of those 800,000 sales, Alinea estimates 200,000 were on the PlayStation 5, 200,000 on the Xbox, and 400,000 were on Steam. The remaining players are said to have access to the Dark Ages through Xbox Game Pass, effectively paying $12 instead of $70, which is the US retail price to play a game. Well, this is undoubtedly a major win for Game Pass, with the entire debacle opening the eyes of many players who want to try new games without paying $7 or more and without going the Yarhar route, pirating, to how they can do that. It also means that it might take longer for the new Doom to break even and start raking in profits, which is unlikely to sit well within the studio's investments. Then they have a little graphic that they made showing the amount of players on Game Pass versus actual paying customers. Another analytics firm, Ampere, reports a slightly different sales distribution, noting that out of the announced 3 million players, 500,000 experienced the game on PlayStation 5, while over 2 million played on Xbox, both through sold copies and Game Pass. No matter which firm you choose to believe, Alinea, Ampere, maybe neither, their findings combined with the observable reality of Doom the Dark Ages' poor performance on Steam and the general sentiment around the game being less positive than that of Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal make it evident that the game and its $70 price tag fail to excite many players. This once again calls into question the issue of video game pricing, what a justified price for a video game really is, and with AAA titles now losing to AA titles and indies, both reputationally and at times financially, whether this should even be such a thing as an industry standard price. So, yeah, that's, you know, what do you think of it? All that kind of stuff. So this is kind of like surprising to me. Not surprising for people on Xbox. Look, if I wanted to play Doom the Dark Ages, I would just download it on Game Pass as well, just like I downloaded the Oblivion remake, Claire Obscura Expedition 33. I'm not gonna buy a game if I can just go with my already existing subscription for the game, right? That makes a lot of sense. It wouldn't make a lot of sense to do it any other way. So, from that point of view, I definitely see why a lot of Xbox players prefer to do it. And like, it was like, what, like 80, 90%. What I don't get is why it's not selling as well on PC or PlayStation. My only thought is like maybe people just have like an Xbox Series S or maybe both major consoles and they're choosing to just play it that way. But I would have thought that it would have sold stronger on at least the PlayStation 5 but kind of a weird number there. Maybe PlayStation 5 gamers just aren't as into Doom for whatever reason, or they're playing, I don't know, Kingdom Come Deliverance or something at this point still. I know that's what I've been still playing, despite it coming out in the end of February. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Do these revelations surprise you in any way? What should we expect going forward for major games on Game Pass? Probably similar to this. But then again, Claire Obscura Expedition 33 did sell well on other platforms despite being on Game Pass. So maybe people just weren't that into what Doom the Dark Ages was offering. Uh, I'm a little surprised given how successful the other games in the Doom franchise since they've rebooted it have been, but that could possibly be it too. Just people just were interested enough to play it on Game Pass, not interested enough to go out of their way to buy it. But of course, let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments. I'm Brian, I'm a fake nerd, but this has been some real news. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you check out our main channel where we do everything for video essays on video games and pop culture. Then we have our Weird Sports channel, which is like this channel, but sports, and our Better Radio channel, which has all of our podcasts on it. Just finished up talking about The Last of Us, so check that out there, and our podcast worth fighting for. And other than that, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.